Hi guys, I'm Bailey and I make videos about growing your glutes as a vegan.
And I make videos about growing your booty on a plant-based diet.
Either one's fine. Today I'm going to be telling you about how to get mind-muscle connection with your glutes. These are the things that influencers don't talk about. I'm going to be going over the exercises that I did in physical therapy when I had back problems from doing glute exercises when I didn't have mind-muscle connection with my glutes. And then also talking about how to feel your glute exercises in your glutes. This is going to be a super important video, so please keep watching until the end. Please like, subscribe to see other videos like this.
That was a long intro. We'll have to cut that down.
So I'm going to start off with the most simple, most basic thing, and this might seem weird, but I didn't know how to do this when I first got my gym membership, and that is clenching your booty cheeks. I didn't know how to do that. So I remember one time my mom did it and I was like,
What did your booty just do?
if you want to grow your booty, start practicing clenching. Even though you know how to do it, you need to be like a pro at it when you start doing glute exercises. Start with just doing like one cheek at a time. I cannot get my left cheek today. Yeah, and when that starts to get easier, then sit down, one cheek at a time. And then you can also try this lying down on your stomach. Super difficult. This is something I used to have to do in physical therapy. Lying on my stomach and then doing like one cheek at a time. Super weird, but it gets hard. And even if it's like you're kind of doing it, if you do it over and over again for just like a minute, it gets easier, and then you're like, oh, like this is how it's supposed to feel. So like actually try it because it works. And then once you get used to those like squeezes, then you can start implementing it. So you know when people say when you're doing a squat to clench your butt cheeks or do like an ugly butt, they call it, and you're like, okay, but like how do you do that while you're squatting? Try this. Sit down and clench. Have your legs spread like you're about to do a squat. You're clenched, and then sit up and keep that hold the whole time. And that's really, really hard. And then you can also practice where you're standing. You're clenching, doing the ugly butt while you're standing, and then try to hold that. And it starts to get hard, and then you kind of just fall back into the seat. And then again, after you do those a couple times, you start to get it. It's not like you have to do these, how do I explain that? It's not like you have to do these for weeks and weeks and weeks before you can start implementing it into your workout. You just have to wake up your glutes before your workout. So doing these before you start your glute workout. I'm about to do a glute workout after I film this video, and this is the stuff that I would do before starting to get my mind muscle connection with my glutes before I even start my workout, my glute workout. And that's how I'll get the most out of my glute workout. Because if I just started it right now, I wouldn't feel it in my glutes at all. And I think that's really common for a lot of people who are trying to grow their glutes. I'm gonna move on to things that are a little bit harder. I used to do these in physical therapy all the time. They were super hard when I started, and they're still hard now, but it takes like, I do a few of them and I get that mind muscle connection, and then it's fine, it's easy. What you're gonna do is you're gonna lie down on your stomach. Preferably have your toes hanging off of something, like if you're up on a little bit of a bench. You can do this on your bed, on your mattress, have your toes kind of hanging off just a little bit. I guess if you're doing this before your workout at the gym, sometimes they have this like tables where like your physical therapist will like stretch you out, something like that. And then you're lying on your stomach, clench both cheeks, and then lift one leg. So start with your right leg, or your left, doesn't matter I guess, and clench, lift. And you want to make sure that you're only lifting as high as you can without using your low back, without using your hamstring. You can brace your core, but you don't want to use anything else except the clenched cheek to pull your leg up, and don't lift it too high. It doesn't need to go high. It doesn't matter how high it goes. You just want to use your cheek to lift your leg up, and do like 10 on one side. And this isn't something that you should really do alternating. You should do it all on one leg and then switch to the next leg. Clench and then lift and then lower and then unclench. Give yourself a second. Clench all the way together. Lift. Make sure that you're not using any muscles except your clenched booty to lift your leg up. You don't want to feel this in your back at all, nothing. You just have your braced core. And then go back again to the first leg, and it's gonna get harder. Bend your right or left, whichever leg you started on, knee, and do the same exact thing, but keep your knee bent at a 90-degree angle. and then push through your heel this time. So you're clenching both your cheeks, you're lifting your leg only as high as you can without using your back, you're pushing through your heel, you're bracing your core, and you're not letting that leg go out away from you. You want to keep your legs down by your side and not lift it out. And I'll show you an example of how not to do it. Some other tips and things to think about during a glute workout: clenching your butt cheeks during all of your workouts. If you're doing a glute workout, you need to be clenching. So that's why it's so important to practice those, even though you're like, yeah, I can do that. But then when you really try to like think about it, you're like, oh, actually I don't have as good mind muscle connection as I thought that I did when it comes to clenching. So practice that. Do a few warm-ups before starting your glute workouts. Putting your hand on your butt cheeks while you're using them. It's weird. I mean, I see guys do it sometimes with like biceps. So feeling it and feeling like the clenching movement happening really helps. So I like to do this when I do hip thrusts on a Smith machine. I'll use like one hand on the Smith machine and then I'll feel with the other, especially on my left cheek because I have the least mind muscle connection on that side. But the hand really helps. And some people it doesn't, but it doesn't hurt to try. Another thing to think about is driving through your heels. You want to have pressure over your whole foot. I see a lot of people work out like with just their heels and like no weight in their toes. You want to have a tripod foot, which is like a whole different video, but imagine pushing through your heels especially, and imagine it, if you don't have to think about it as like your heels, imagine that you're pushing through your feet. So like you're really like, imagine pushing your feet down into the ground. That could help. Especially think about this during hip thrusts, is to push your knees away from each other. You don't want your knees to cave in. Pushing your knees out away from each other uses the muscles on the sides of your glutes, and then also pushing your like feet like out. So when your feet are down and you're doing the hip thrust, imagine that there's like a towel that your feet sitting on, and you want to flatten that towel out and push it away. I don't know why that works, but you feel a lot more in your glutes when you're imagining stretch the towel out extra, as if you had like one towel lying and your feet on top of it and you're pushing it out. I don't know why that helps. Tip number 5, another thing to think about is your pelvic tilt. You want to engage your core. Instead of being like this, you want your core engaged and you want to be tilted under. This is the tilting motion, and you can kind of see that I'm using my glutes when I do that. Yeah, I'm like clenching a little bit when I like tilt under and not like this or like hunched. You're engaging your core and tilted. And then the next tip, number 6, is the hip hinge. A hip hinge is what it sounds like. Your hips are hinging, and this is the movement that you go through during a deadlift and a squat. They're both hip hinge movements. You have your pelvic tilt. Oh, actually the best workout for me to imagine this is with the pull through. So a cable pull through, where you have the cable behind you and you have it here, and you're coming like, because everything is staying the same. The only thing that you're doing is hinging with your hips. I can actually feel that, and I'm not even using weight. That is how good these glute activation exercises are, because I have the pelvic tilted correctly, aligned correctly, I don't know, and my hips are hinging in the correct movement. So definitely implement the correct hip hinge, and then you should immediately start feeling it in your glutes. Foot positioning, so you know when they say like shoulder width apart and you're like, what the heck is that? It's kind of, honestly, it can be different for everybody. It's not like you can get a measuring tape out and everybody it's going to be 12 inches or anything like that. Move your feet around and you'll feel a positioning where you're like, yes, this is comfortable, this is where I need to be. And you can experiment with it being like a little bit further, a little bit closer. Figure out where you feel it in your glutes the most. So think about your foot positioning during your glute exercises. And tip number 8, the last tip, is to pre-fatigue your glutes. So do glute warm-ups. Everybody, for the most part, everybody does warm up before their workouts, and if they don't, they should. I heard somebody say like, why do you do glute activation? You don't do activation for anything else. But yeah, we do. Like bodybuilders do activation for other workouts, so this is just as important to activate your glutes before your workouts. You use, you know, lighter weight before you get into your heavier weight, whatever you do. Banded exercises. People do that with upper body workout too. Pre-fatigue your glutes just a little bit, nothing like too crazy, to make sure that the glutes know to work. To put it in terms of like maybe an upper body workout, you're moving and you're moving your boxes out to your car, whatever, and then you go to the gym and you're like, I'm gonna train back because my arms are tired, and you start doing a pull and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel it in my biceps so much. Because you were lifting all day, you fatigued your arms, so now your arms are gonna feel it. So if you fatigue your glutes, once you get into your glute workout, you're gonna say, oh my gosh, I feel it in my glutes more than my legs, because your glutes have already started working and they're already warmed up and activated. Hopefully that makes sense. It doesn't hurt to try new things, try new glute exercises, try new foot placement, try new activation workouts, try these glute mind muscle connection tricks, and eventually you'll start feeling it in your glutes and you'll start seeing results so quickly if you haven't been feeling it in your glutes. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to support me if you want to see more videos like this. I make 2 videos a week about building your glutes while eating a plant-based diet, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.